People often visualize that it takes great strength and muscle to fly an airplane. In reality, flying an airplane is really a delicate thing, a thing of grace and beauty. I like to think of it as a symphony between the pilot and the aircraft. In fact, rather than thinking of movement of the controls, think of applying pressure to the control wheel and the rudder pedals. Only in those cheap movies do you see the wheel move a lot. If you see it move much at all in normal flight, you're probably over-controlling the aircraft. The best way to hold the control wheel is with one hand using just your fingertips rather than your entire hand. It's almost like you're driving a car with power steering. It shouldn't take a lot of effort. Use your other hand to operate the engine controls, such as the throttle. If you have to hold much pressure on the wheel to make the airplane do what you want it to do, you can use trim. Think of trim as your invisible co-pilot. To get help from the trim, first use the control wheel to set what you want for the airplane's pitch attitude. Then feel the pressure on the control wheel. If you're pushing forward on the control wheel to keep the desired attitude, slowly roll the trim wheel forward. Think of the airplane's nose as being attached to the opposite side of the trim wheel from where you're holding it. You want the trim to help you push the nose down? Well, then you roll it forward to make the nose go down. When you stop feeling pressure from the control wheel, stop trimming. If, on the other hand, you are now using pressure to hold the nose up to keep it at your desired attitude, or what we call holding back pressure, you'll now have to move the trim wheel back. Just roll it back. Now, don't make the common mistake of becoming so enamored with that new trim wheel toy that you try to use trim to set the nose attitude instead of using the control wheel. Trim has too much lag in it to fly smoothly and precisely. Here's another tidbit that might surprise you. In an automobile, the driver has to pay attention and have her hands on the wheel pretty much all the time. You know, that old 10 and 2 stuff. But in airplanes, pilots can remove their hands and feet from the controls for short periods of time, and the airplane will actually continue to fly straight and level on its own. Well, folks, this is no coincidence. This characteristic is actually designed into the airplane, and it's called stability. But what happens if you hit a bump in the road? These aerial potholes are called turbulence, and stability works even for those bumps. Let's suppose you are in level flight, then pull back on the control wheel, causing the nose to pitch up, and then let go. Now what do you think will happen? Well, the nose drops below the level altitude position and then comes back up, but to a lesser amount than before. After a few slight up and down oscillations like this, the airplane will return to level flight on its own. And what you've just seen is a great example of how an airplane with its built-in stability can make even a pilot like me look pretty darn good.